Grain Elevator and Processing Society is hosting their annual GEAPS Exchange Conference at the Kansas City Convention Center, February 22nd through the 25th of 2025. GEAPS Exchange is the biggest and best show in the grain industry with more than 400 exhibitors and 45 hours of education. It is the best place to find grain handling and processing operation solutions all in one place. GEAPS Exchange brings together industry professionals from across the world to help build professional networks and connect with the products you need. Come walk the trade show floor, take part in live demonstrations, innovation stations, and see new equipment. Make valuable connections through a variety of fun and exciting social events. Early bird pricing ends January 28th. Learn more and register at jeeps.com/exchange. Those in the grain industry look to GEAPS for the biggest and best show in the grain industry, GEAPS Exchange. In partnership with VICTAM International, we are bringing our members and the industry another opportunity to expand their reach in the industry. Coming up is a conversation with two individuals who can help us learn more about this new big event coming to South America. All that and more coming up next. Hey folks, welcome grain professionals to this episode of Whole Grain. My name is Jim Lenz, your host of the Whole Grain Show and Director of Global Training and Education at GEAPS, where the mission of the Grain Elevator and Processing Society is to champion, connect, and serve the global grain industry and our members. At GEAPS, we work to be the global community and the thought leader for the grain industry, which feeds and fuels the world. Thanks for listening today and for joining the network of thousands of other grain handling and processing professionals across the globe taking strategic steps to grow professionally. The Whole Grain Show will give you the competitive advantage to win at work so you can make more of an impact. In our last episode of Whole Grain, we brought in an expert to discuss the state of the grain industry in Brazil. In this episode, we discuss how GEAPS, in partnership with VICTAM International, is bringing our members and the industry another opportunity to expand their reach in the industry. The first VICTAM LatAm, co-located in GEAPS LatAm, and the Grain Elevator and Processing Society will focus on animal feed, milling and grain processing opportunities in Latin America, October 3rd through the 5th, 2023 at Expo Center Norte Red Pavilion in Sao Paulo, Brazil. GEAPS Exchange historically brings together thousands of industry professionals and decision makers. Exhibitors in the GEAPS Pavilion isn't a replacement for GEAPS Exchange offered each year in late winter, but an opportunity for expansion to meet decision makers from South America and beyond. It also presents a great opportunity for GEAPS members living and working in South America. This is a great opportunity for our member companies who do business in South America. For those who do not do business in South America, this is a perfect opportunity to assess if that market is for you. And if you haven't listened to our last episode, we highly encourage you to check out the Whole Grain podcast episode titled Exploring Brazil's Grain Industry with Dr. Michael Cordonier. We're confident you'll find this episode very insightful. Now, booth sales for the GEAPS Pavilion at VICTAM LatAm are open. The activity and commitment we've seen so far is exciting. Individuals who would like to reserve a booth or who have questions are encouraged to send an email to conferences@jeeps.com. There are also opportunities for you to deliver educational sessions there as well. To provide detail, we have brought in two guests for today's show. We first will connect with Julia Kloehn. Many of you know Julia. She is our Director of Operations and now Interim Executive Director at GEAPS. We also brought in Sebas van den Ende, the General Director for VICTAM. Together, Julia and Sebas will give us a real rundown of all that is happening with this special October 2023 event. We welcome the GEAPS Interim Director and Director of Operations, Julia Kloehn. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to connect with you. I want to use this time to help our listeners learn a little bit more about the big event we have October 3rd through the 5th in 2023 called VICTAM LatAm. It's taking place in Brazil. One of the questions people may be wondering, because it is new for GEAPS to be involved with that, how does it fit into the GEAPS mission?
Sure, it's a great question. GEAPS as an organization has been around for a long time, has always been an international organization, but largely North American. And so we haven't had a huge presence outside of North America. But the International Board of Directors sat down earlier this year to map out a new mission and vision. And inside of that strategic planning process, really decided to more intentionally look at global. And a piece of that plan specifically involves building a global growth strategy. So this is something that we know won't happen overnight or just because we want to be more global. It'll take some time to focus what that plan will involve and to work it through all the different areas of GEAPS, including membership and education and how we look at building community. So we're really just at the beginning of sort of reimagining the organization this way. At the end of the day, GEAPS really is all about people, connecting people to other people, to solutions. And we're excited to look at how we can expand our network into South America.
Great response. Thank you. Just curious, how did GEAPS get connected with VICTAM?
Yeah, so it was a little bit of the stars aligned, luck of the draw. Our former executive director, Steve Records, was invited to be on a panel discussion at the VICTAM European show in 2022. And that's kind of where the conversation started. The ideas started happening and further conversations about what was next for VICTAM, where their next shows would be, next locations, and ways that we might cooperate together sort of fell out of that experience.
That's great. Now, the grain industry is a lot of moving parts, and just wanted to know, as listeners may be wondering, what was the interest in having a conference in South America?
South America is a fairly new market for GEAPS, but it's a big market in the grain industry. And the opportunity to partner with VICTAM as a recognized organization doing successful shows throughout other parts of the world, it was a great next opportunity for GEAPS to pursue the South American market.
Yeah, definitely can understand that. Now, listeners may be wondering, hey, how can I get involved? How can an organization get involved? What would you say?
Couple ways to get involved. First of all, similar to GEAPS Exchange, which I know a lot of listeners may be familiar with our own event, the GEAPS Exchange. Just like we sell booths for GEAPS Exchange, we are looking to find exhibitors for booths, although they call them stands for the VICTAM show. We're looking for exhibitors who want to join us in Sao Paulo. It's a great opportunity for any companies who are already doing business in South America or possibly looking to expand their businesses there. We will have a special section of the trade show floor plan kind of carved out as a GEAPS pavilion. So there'll be other companies that we know of, that we're friendly with, that we're already working with, housed in that specific sort of footprint on the floor plan so we can all be together. We're also looking to have a small education program. When we're there, many of our exhibitors will also be speakers, presenters inside of that program. So anyone who's interested in either having a booth or a stand, as well as a speaking opportunity, give us a holler. We'd love to talk with you. On the other side of the equation, attendees. So we're looking for people to join us there. We know a lot of people in North America, and we are hoping and working to get the word out through our North American contacts into their South American counterparts to spread the word to join us, come check us out in Sao Paulo. So need folks to brush up on their Portuguese and share the word with those who might be local attendees to join us there at VICTAM.
Very exciting time for GEAPS in general, as we have a lot of fun and exciting new initiatives that are going to be happening in the future. And this certainly is one of them. Julia, thank you for coming on the show, Whole Grain. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Today, we welcome an individual with 20 years of international experience in the event organizing industry with a proven track record in developing and managing exhibitions and conferences. Sebas van den Enden is the General Director for VICTAM. GEAPS will play a big role in VICTAM LatAM, or in Latin America in 2023, the world's largest animal feed processing event taking place October 3rd through the 5th. Sebas, welcome and thank you for your participation with Whole Grain.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Great. Now, to allow our listeners to get to know you a bit, could you share with our listeners a mantra or success quote that you live by professionally?
Not really, but if I have to think about one, and this is basically what I did a lot of times in my life, to realize success and to create new things, you have to jump first. So basically, no guts, no glory.
I love that. And that is needed because you are producing some of the biggest events, of course, in the world in this industry. And we are just coming off of course, COVID not too long ago, and we're having in-person events. So that is important. So if you don't mind, tell us about VICTAM or VICTAM. Listeners may be curious, is VICTAM an acronym? What locations have you done VICTAM events in the past?
VICTAM, as an organization, we exist since 1964, so it's pretty old. It started as a merge of two associations in the Netherlands, both for the feed millers. I don't know exactly why it's called VICTAM, but it's part of both of the associations had part of this name, so this is how it started. And since 1964, we've been organizing events in Europe, Germany, and the Netherlands, but also in Asia, Bangkok, Turkey, Istanbul, and now since this year also in Latin America, in Brazil, Sao Paulo.
We have a very exciting event coming up in the fall here in 2023. If you could give us those big details, that would be great. I mean, the who, the what, and the where, and what attracted VICTAM to working with GEAPS.
We'll be back after a quick break.
GEAPS Training and Education Program is proud to release Introduction to Grain Operations. This new course is a multimedia version of what was known as GEAPS 500 with dynamic graphics, video examples, photographs, multidimensional illustrations, animations, and interactive exercises. This course is sure to prepare your teams for the work you need them to do. This is a great industry primer at a great price. For a limited time, GEAPS members may purchase the course for just $195. Non-members still save and pay just $295. For more information, visit jeeps.com.
Yeah. Now, at VICTAM, since what I said, since 1964, and since this moment, we grew into the biggest and most specialized event for the feed mill industry. So what we see all the technology, the companies with the technology, with the ingredients, the services, everything what's used to produce feed. Yeah, this is very successful. I think wherever in the world you mention VICTAM as a name, people know it. It means we have a lot of big exhibitors who go with us around the world. People ask us as well. They have new strategy. Where are we going? We would like to do business in Africa or Latin America. And if this demand is big enough, we're going to do research in a new market. And this is the reason why we started doing research in Latin America 2 years ago. Of course, a huge market with a lot of grain production, with a lot of soy production, with a lot of corn production, and a lot of animals. So we started the research, and we decided, because the numbers were so much in favor of doing an event. So we decided to go there. And this was basically the moment that I started to talk with Steve. And he said, he visited our event in Utrecht. He said, we are interested to do something maybe in the future in Europe as well. Is this something we could do together? And during this conversation, we said, wow, but maybe the first chance we have to do something. And that's especially also for a lot of you. U.S. companies interesting to go is our event in Brazil. So that's how it started. For us, of course, VICTAM is feed production, but we also have a grain and flour milling department of our event. And that's where GEAPS was a kind of the right time and the right moment and the right place to talk about, because grain is for us very important. Grain is very important in Brazil. US for us is always a little bit more complicated to know the people. And so doing this together with GEAPS, there was a chance we couldn't let go.
Nice to share a little bit of a historical perspective about the organization, the events that are put on, and how GEAPS got connected with that. I mean, Sebas, what qualities are you looking for in a partnership, and in what way does GEAPS contribute to bring added value to the event?
GEAPS, of course, is a very, very famous organization, very strong in the grain part. This is something what we want to do as well. But we think we can learn and win from each other. I mean, GEAPS has a lot of members from the US we don't have access to. We hope and we think we can bring a lot of added value to these companies in Brazil. So as it does not conflict in interest in who's selling what, and we believe for the market and for the members, it's an interesting continent to go to. This is why I would think we can strengthen each other.
Nice. Now, what makes, in your opinion, an outcome successful?
An outcome is successful in general for us if participants are happy at the end. and meaning happy that normally we see, are they coming back next year? So it's a new event, but that's normally the first and the most measure of us. But also Asset is a new location for us as well. If we can position ourselves in a nice way into the market where companies are happy, where we had a good feeling with the relationship with GEAPS, but also with other partners we have, then it's successful for us.
Oh, that's great to hear. Did you face any contradicting interests before finalizing the partnership? If so, what were these and how'd you come to a compromise?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think if before we would have seen this, probably we wouldn't have started the partnership. And from the beginning, it was pretty clear that we have the same view of the market. We have the same goals for our members or our exhibitors. We believe where you are strong, we can win, and the other way around. Of course, there was an overlap a little bit in exhibitors, a couple, but it was very easy solved. Sounds maybe a little bit soft, but this is only a win-win.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah, there's alignment there for sure. This is GEAPS' first time working with VICTAM. What are the possibilities for the future?
Now, the future, of course, starts today. As said before, I met with Steve in the first conversation we had about is there any possibility to work together in Europe? Latin America was our first event, so we started with this one. Yeah, and normally what we see with other relationships, they're not for one day. If you start a cooperation with the company, hopefully it's for the long term and hopefully for other regions as well. So if this goes well and it looks like it, then this could be a nice future together.
In the past, had VICTAM partnered with other organizations similar to GEAPS? Sebas, how have these efforts worked out? Any success stories you could share?
Again, we are in many countries, and when we go to a new country, we always, the most important thing for us is to find good partners. Could be commercial partners, operational partners, marketing partners. Always would like to work with events that are locally already established, so to get that part of the market as well. Because again, we are in foundation, VICTAM as a foundation. For us, the money is not so important. It's much more that our exhibitors, our participants will have a good event. So working with partners is for us always important. The more, the merrier. Also with GEAPS like this, in this case, GEAPS could have started their own events. And we could have started our own event, but now we have synergy in the operational part, in the marketing part, the sales part. So this is what we do. We did this before with other organizations. Normally that works very well. Sometimes, yeah, of course, you have an expectations that won't come true. But in this case, as the ideas and the visions are equal, we believe this works out. So I don't think there's much risk in this cooperation.
What is your take on the future of global trade shows and expos coming out of COVID?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, the future, nobody knows the future. On the other hand, what we saw, let's go back to the beginning of this century, when internet started to be a thing. People basically said, okay, this is the end of trade shows. Everything we need, we can look up easily at the internet. Why we go to a trade show? Since then, the industry grew very fast. I mean, everything what was found on the internet, people would like to see it in real. So it grew. COVID as well. I think a lot of people said, oh, COVID, this could be the end of trade shows as everything is going online. There's no need to travel anymore. But what we saw just after COVID, everybody was a little bit tired of Teams meetings and not seeing each other and not touching machines. From that perspective, I think the industry comes out of the industry stronger than we went into. On the other hand, you never know, and also an economical crisis. Maybe we're going to face one the coming years, and it could be that people travel less. Maybe not, and this is why for us, I think, okay, we're looking more regional, having our events not only in Europe, but we go where the people are. And this could be something. So, but I believe that the strong events will have a good future, and events that are a little less strong, maybe they get a hard time. But luckily, we are a niche leader, market leader in our niche, so we are positive.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah, there's something that can't be beat with those. Something just, can't be matched with those in-person events. So I'm just kind of curious here. GEAPS members are made primarily of associate members who are the vendors and suppliers for the grain operations. And we have grain operation organizations and leaders and staff from grain operations who are considered regular members. We also have folks who are in the education sector or they're student learners in academic settings. But when we think about this event coming up, can you draw some sort of sensory or draw in words images? What is it like going through this event, or happening here in the fall? What can they expect to see, feel, hear? I mean, what makes this kind of so unique and make you feel alive, for those grain industry professionals?
Now, the unique thing is, one, it's a combination of two strong brands, what will attract a lot of professionals in the industry. We combine our event, our exhibition, with a lot of educational stuff, conferences, seminars, matchmaking. And that's always a golden combination, in our opinion. We bring people to the conferences and there's enough time to go to see the real world on the exhibition floor. So that's one thing. And the other thing, we are an international exhibition, so we're not only focusing on Brazil, Sao Paulo. It's our idea to attract people from Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, Peru, everywhere from Latin America. And we do this by offering an online course with certificates at the site. We have matchmaking, we have buying programs. And this is the combination of strong brands together. We'll make sure that buyers will come to the show. So for exhibitors, for companies who have an interest or already stake in Latin America, we believe this is a very good platform to go to.
We've communicated our GEAPS involvement with VICTAM through our website and other communication tools we have at our disposal. But this episode of Whole Grain might be the very first time they are hearing about VICTAM LatAm in co-location with GEAPS, or at the least in this much detail. What is the best way for interested parties to be involved with the event?
We'll have an event there with around 250 exhibitors, I guess. We do this with GEAPS, meaning we have a GEAPS pavilion, a dedicated GEAPS pavilion at the event. If GEAPS members would like to participate with us, they can do it in two ways. They can contact GEAPS directly, and they have all the information and send it to us, and we make a stand proposal, or they can contact us. It doesn't matter. It's the same. But the easiest probably is going by GEAPS.
This is great information. But again, what is the best website for this event outside of the GEAPS website?
Yeah, the website of the event is called VICTAMLatAM.com. So VICTAMLatAM.com. So there you can find all the information and you can see all the exhibitors, confirmed exhibitors, pricing, time-wise, etc., etc. And if you would like to have more information, you can always send us an email. Easiest probably if sending it to expo@victam.com. So expo, EXPO @victam.com. Or again, please send an email to GEAPS and they address it to us.
Wonderful. We thank you for your participation with the Whole Grain Show. It was great to learn more about this big event that's happening in the fall.
Thank you very much and hope to see you all 3rd till the 5th of October in 2023 in Sao Paulo. Thank you.
We thank you, our listeners, for making the Whole Grain part of your day. We also thank our wonderful guests, Julia and Sebas, to support the show and provide some great insights on VICTAM LatAm. If you are finding value in Whole Grain, we ask a favor. Visit your favorite podcast app where you'll find Whole Grain, leave us a comment, and while you're listening to the show. This small but important gesture enables the Whole Grain Show to be found more easily by others. We already have a number of 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts, so if you could leave us a rating and a comment, that would be terrific wherever you listen to podcasts. At this time of the recording, we have listeners in 34 countries since our launch in October of 2022, just 6 months ago. The Whole Grain Show is super easy to find, very accessible. Not only is it found on your favorite podcast apps such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and many more, you can also connect with the show through the GEAPS website at jeeps.com/Whole Grain. Access audio player, review the show notes and links, and access a transcript. We encourage you to share the Whole Grain podcast with your network. Thanks for doing so. Today's show is about VICTAM LatAm. We're excited about our involvement. If you would like to find out more information about how to register for the event, visit the jeeps.com webpage, click on meetings and events. At the top of the page, you'll find the link for VICTAM International right below. We'll also leave a link in the show notes at jeeps.com/Whole Grain. If you and your organization want to sponsor an episode and be featured on The Whole Grain Show, or if you are interested in us producing audio ads to support your product or service, we can help you with that. GEAPS has an in-house audio recording studio. We can work with you virtually. Please reach out to me, Jim Lenz, Director of Global Training and Education at GEAPS. My email is james@jeeps.com, JAMES@GEAPS.com. Whole Grain is a production of GEAPS, the Grain Elevator and Processing Society. The Grain Elevator and Processing Society is the largest organization dedicated to advancing the grain handling and processing industry. Be sure to check out jeeps.com. Have yourself a great day, and thanks for listening to Whole Grain.